Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Delaney Harger, and on this episode of Save the Planet, we will be discussing the issue of climate change and what we could do to help fight it. As we wake up in the morning, we hear the sound of birds chirping and lawnmowers going. I walk outside into the morning dew as the sun shines down through the clouds, starting to warm up the day. I hear bees buzzing, the wind blowing through the trees, making them dance. I see vibrant flowers blooming with all sorts of colors and new signs of life showing spring is coming. There are kids rolling down the green grassy hills, getting grass stains all over their clothes, even though they know their parents won't be happy about the stains later on. They're just running around in the park, laughing, their world still full of magic and wonder, as all of the troubles of the world aren't yet known to them. What if one day it was all gone? All that we would be left with is nothing but silence and despair, the kind that is deafening and makes you wonder what went wrong. The beauty that the world once held has disappeared. The once vibrant, full world is now desolate. There are no longer kids laughing and rolling down the green hills in the park. There's no more beautiful flowers or bees. All the wonder and the magic that the world once held is all gone. All we would be left with is regret that we could have done something, but we decided not to. Unless we want this to happen, it is up to us to make a change. It is our responsibility to change what we have destroyed for our future generations and for ourselves to leave this world as beautiful as we once found it. In this podcast, I'm going to be covering what climate change is, the effects of climate change, and what we can do to help combat the negative effects. By the end of this podcast, I'm really hoping to change some of your minds and show you that we can really make a difference if we only try. Now listen, I know that there are many controversial issues that have to do with climate change as it has become a political issue, but nevertheless, we're going to focus on only the facts. We're not going to get into any political issues or anything. We're only going to focus on what we could do to make a change. Climate change. It's such a simple word that has the ability to leave such a big impact. Over the past 50 years, our world has begun to change drastically as the threat of climate change becomes more prevalent. Climate change is a long-term change in weather patterns that define our local, regional, and global climates. The issue that we will be exploring today is the negative effects of climate change in the United States. As our world has begun to see the effects and struggles with this growing issue, many people wonder if there's anything that they can do. How can you make such a change in such a small part of the world and have an impact? In the United States, there are many opinions on this issue from locals from different states. Some believe that climate change is not that big of a deal, as some are not as affected as those in high-risk areas. For example, it is no shocker that there has been a rise in natural disasters over the past 50 years. Part of that reason is linked to climate change. The nice tan you've been able to catch on the beach as the heat waves goes up leads to risks for heavy rainfall and flooding as the heat causes more water vapor to stay in the atmosphere. The UN has reported that as we see global warming increase, the biggest driver of the issue is human activities. The United States has seen the biggest economic losses as these natural disasters cost hundreds of billions of dollars in damage. These disasters also force local residents to relocate their homes as they get destroyed. Many people from high-risk areas like Florida and Louisiana get hit hard from natural disasters like hurricanes and lose everything, forcing them to move. It isn't just coastal areas either. Places like Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas are going through huge droughts that affect crops and growing seasons, further throwing off the economy. Now, of course, these states, it all depends on where you live and how you see these effects that can change your opinion on the subject, as well as if you're not in a high-risk area or you make your livelihood off the land. No matter the opinion or stance that an individual may have right now, they must realize that in the coming years, circumstances may change for them and the effects could be irreversible. Some choose to ignore these facts because they are not being directly affected, but if the farmers can't create produce, that will cause inflation, as the products will be harder to come by, causing everyone to be affected. We can no longer ignore this problem and think that it is not our issue. If we act now, there's still time to make a change. Next up, we will be discussing what we could do to make a change. Please stay tuned. So I know what a lot of you may be thinking. What can I do? Now, I'm not going to tell you to do anything drastic, like get rid of your car, go vegan, or live without electricity. Don't worry. I'm only going to talk about some of the small ways that we are able to make a change throughout our day. For example, turn that 45-minute shower into a 20-minute one. I know sometimes it feels good to just stay in there, but one day when you don't have enough water, it won't. Also, your lawn does not need to be green 12 months out of the year. It's okay for your lawn to get a little brown. Everyone's does. It's winter, the grass dies, get over it. Also, try to water that lawn during the coolest parts of the day to try and save on some water. Another tip, when you leave a room, hit that switch. You're not in there. There's no reason for it to be on, unless you're scared of the dark. Then you got some more issues, but you're fine. Donate your old clothes. There are many who are unfortunate that would love to have some of your nice clothes as they cannot afford new ones. You'd be helping them and the environment. You can also try to make a vegetable garden, save a few bucks, help replenish the soil while doing so. You could also start exercising more, take a walk, and get off that technology and try to unplug. This will help not only cut down on electricity use, it'll also help you get back in touch with the world to see how beautiful it is. Now, if you want to take a bigger step and see how you can make bigger changes, I highly encourage you to get in touch with volunteer organizations in your town or start neighborhood groups that also want to make a change. Something is better than just sitting around doing nothing. As we wrap up, I just want to touch on some of the main points as I try to convince you that you really can do something about this. You must understand that the more we sit back and do nothing, our beautiful world slips further away from us. I believe that climate change is a big issue, and our whole world should come to recognize this so we may be able to help one another as we are fighting for our planet. Let's make sure that we actually do something about this issue, as we could still fix it. Although we are the ones who ruined it, it is up to us for our future generations so they could still live a beautiful life, still full of wonder and beauty. Is it really right of us to take away their future life of wonder and happiness? Is it right for us to expose them to all the troubles of the world so early on, so they must grow up quickly and not being able to remember what being a kid is like? It's not fair to them or to us. Our world keeps passing the problems that the generation before made and gives them to the next in a box saying, sorry, it's your problem now. That's not how it should be. We can't just wait for change to happen on its own. History has shown that. If we want to see change, we must do it ourselves. It is our responsibility to give the next generation the same chances that we had, to see the magic in the world, even if it's only for a little bit. Be the example who they look up to, who they want to be one day, someone who fought, who made a difference to change our world for the better. As you attempt to make a change, encourage those around you to make one too, to make a chain reaction. It all starts with you. Now that you've heard me rant on about climate change, I just want to say thank you for listening, and I hope that this podcast has made you realize that if you want to see change, you have to be the change. Thank you very much.